Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of episode 6 of Wednesday, Quid Pro Woe. This was directed by Ganja Monteiro and written by April Blair. This is the same duo that did the last episode. And before I jump into this review, just want to say please subscribe so you don't miss any of my reviews of this show. I'm doing every single episode. They're meant to be companion pieces, and they're spoiler reviews for what we've seen so far. But please make sure not to mention any of the episodes and what happens in the future. And subscribing just helps on so many levels you have no idea, so I'd really appreciate it. So we see that Wednesday is trying to communicate with Goody with this seance. But this is where Enid walks in, and we see that Enid is laying the groundwork to surprise Wednesday on her birthday. And they perfectly do it by making it think like they're going to Crackstone Crypt to investigate, but she's really setting her up here, and this is all things doing at the end of the day. I love that the birthday cake is of a Grim Reaper and it's all black, but what's nice is that Enid puts a pink balloon on it. She says that was her doing. You'll see throughout this episode how important Enid is in Wednesday's life and is showing the color into her life and changing Wednesday little bit by little bit to kind of get that out of her. And this episode does a really good job showing growth in Wednesday's character, adding color to her life, and I'll point out where they're doing that visually. But also, it's dealing with her loneliness that she has there and how it's affecting her as she gets older. And I think that is one of the best parts of this episode. And what's also great about this episode, too, besides doing that with character growth, it's really fun to watch. And that comes in the second half here where it becomes like a suspense horror film, which I'm also going to break down, but I really enjoyed it. So what's connecting the last episode's cliffhanger with the fire will rain, this is interesting because she sees in Crackstone's crypt in this writing that says Crackstone is coming. So it's really setting up this showdown we're going to have with Wednesday and Crackstone. This episode's doing a good job of that, but it's also all connecting to that picture she saw and that there's going to be a fire behind them. But what's important is she sees Goody here, and Goody says to her, the path of the raven is a solitary one. You end up alone, unable to trust others, only seeing the darkness within them. So I really like what they're doing with these different types of people who have visions, like her mom being a dove and now her being a raven, and how it's the most powerful visions, but it comes with that, like she's saying, that aloneness, and like her mama hinted at, you can go mad. So it's a very careful ground you have to be on, and it adds so much complication to Wednesday's character, which is always fascinating. Now, before we jump back into Wednesday's story, I do want to bring up the scenes with Bianca because she meets Lucas here, and where they're putting those two together is there's definitely a little interest romantically between the two of them, you can tell, but also they're both on a redemption arc journey starting here, and they both meet at the cafe. Later on, they're saying how they are seeing that Lucas wants to start over, and Bianca sees that in herself too. But there is something about this that storyline, especially just in this episode in particular, I felt so out of the flow of the rest of the show. It almost feels too distant from Wednesday's story. So that would be one of my gripes with it so far, but we'll see if it can kind of pick up the pace a little bit or just feel more naturally in the episode storyline. So in Wednesday's birthday flashbacks, which I loved because every little snippet we've gotten of the Addams family house, it looks great. I love the vibe of it, and I love the cake she has. But what's important about that cake she has in the flashback is, yes, Uncle Fester's there, but we already saw in the trailers that he's going to be in the show. But what was important was Grandmama was there, who we haven't seen yet, so to confirm she is in this universe, that she will probably make an appearance at some point. I'm going to make a prediction that it is Helena Bonham Carter who is playing her. It'd be a perfect casting for that part, and Tim Burton is a producer and director on the show, so I could totally see that happening. He always casts her in everything he does, so my prediction would be like maybe a post-credit scene at the end of the season introducing her, so we'll see. Now, one of those great humorous lines we've seen consistently in the show, and it happens again here, is when Kimbot shows up to Wednesday at Eugene, and you see that Wednesday just being with Eugene again is showing how much her character's already grown, and that Kimbot's calling out here and Wednesday's in denial about. But I love when Wednesday mentions about how her time was with the family there. She says, my mother and I got some quality time together, got our hands dirty. And Kimbot goes, gardening? And she goes, no, grave digging. Just great. But it's also interesting, there's some eerie music that plays when it cuts out of the scene, zooming in on the flowers and Kimbot herself. So something's up there with her. Very suspicious character. But the most suspicious character I've been saying in my recent reviews is Christina Ricci's character, Thornhill. And now I can fully confirm from this episode she is definitely Laurel Gates. Why? Because here's the biggest hint, is that the mayor, when he's looking into Laurel Gates, looks at the death certificate. It says it's a female that would be 42 years old today if she was alive. So I Googled how old is Christina Ricci. Christina Ricci is exactly 42 right now, so that is no coincidence. And you're getting all these hints, right? Like a woman called the mayor's office saying that the lights came on at the Gates place, so someone's living there, which is definitely Thornhill. And then she has this bedroom that is no cobwebs, so someone's living there. You see that they have everything is set up in this mansion of the Gates for this mystery. And I'm going to break that down more as we go on. But before they even arrive at the Gates mansion, you see that Wednesday tells Tyler her term papers about whitewashing the sins of our past will come back to kill us all. So what they're doing there is, again, just throwing in a line that's explaining one of the big themes of the show. This has already been developed with the whole backstory with Crackstone and how this town still kind of hides that and makes it look better than what actually happened, and how that will make you repeat itself. It's like, again, if you don't learn from history, you repeat yourself. Same kind of thing there. We also see that when Wednesday sees Xavier, that he was having a painting of her there. So, that's so embarrassing on so many levels, but obviously it affected Wednesday that she couldn't even handle the emotion she was feeling. And he even had a nice touch where he had her playing the music out of the painting. I thought that was awesome. Just creative things you can do with these characters' different powers. But you see Wednesday goes at first to the Gates mansion, sees the mayor's already there, and he says on his voicemail, he has an idea to the sheriff of who this possibly is. And it's a long shot. And he's definitely thinking it's Thornhill being Laurel Gates. And of course, this is where he gets hit by a car. He was too close to getting the answer. And after this happens, like I always said, everything with the Weems story feels like Professor Snape with Harry Potter, and a lot of the show feels like Harry Potter. And this particularly did a lot too, where Weems is like, I'm putting school in lockdown and off-campus privileges are revoked until further notice, she says to Wednesday. So it definitely feels like even there, like a Professor McGonagall having to deal with Harry at points. But of course, this is when Thornhill just shows up to Wednesday after all this, gives her Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I love the line where she's like, she has a couple years to beat Mary Shelley in writing her story. But you see, important line by Thornhill's like, I think it's smart you're focusing on literary monsters and leaving real ones to authorities, and diverting Wednesday off of her trail. But then when Wednesday says, no man chooses evil because it's evil, he only mistakes for happiness the good he seeks. And she's quoting Mary Shelley there. There's this evil smirk back that comes from Thornhill, and then it changes when Wednesday's accusing Weems of being like this. So Wednesday is right about her quote, but on the wrong person. She's really misreading it, and that it should be put against Thornhill herself. Because again, I think Weems is the misdirect here. Again, the Snape-like character, where she seems like she's doing harm to Wednesday, but she's actually looking out for her. It's also interesting, they show a scene with the sheriff and his son Tyler, and he's saying how he loved his mother more than he could ever known. Why Sheriff is such a jerk is something tragically happened with Tyler's mom and his wife, so I'm interested to see who that is and what happened. Now, I love that Wednesday uses Enid here to have her excuse of trying to wolf out on the full moon to get them to get off campus, and she lies to Enid saying they're just gonna have a girls' night, and Tyler thinking he's going on a date, and she scares Tyler at the car. Was great, and they're both wearing these snoods, and she has him take her to the Gates mansion. So if we're looking at it as that Thornhill is the one living in this house and is really Laurel Gates, you see that they find the car in the garage that hit the mayor, lines up there. There's an altar in the house to Crackstone, so we also see that the victims of the monsters, the body parts are in the basement. So Thornhill, who I think it is, obviously, whoever it is trying to put these body parts together to have a vessel for Crackstone to return. So this character, this mystery character all along, is the one putting the piece together. I think the monster is either for sure Tyler or Longshot, but could still be Xavier because he's always appearing at the right time. But at the same time, they showed you even in this episode, he got that information from Thing, where Wednesday was. So it's not like the unplausibility of Tyler missing when the monster shows up and then reappearing when the monster's gone. So more and more seems like Tyler. But it seems like this person, who's probably Thornhill, is guiding the monster along, who loses control of itself in some ways, but the monster is somewhat aware because it protects Wednesday. But again, I think that it's a toy for the person who's pulling the strings, which I think is Thornhill. But I really did love this sequence of them in the dumbwaiter, having the monster after them. It was just fun, adding to the mystery, suspense, and a little horror here. I just really liked it. But when Wednesday again gets reprimanded by Weems, it's just again feeling so much like I'm watching Harry Potter, which is not a problem. It's a great thing to base off a film franchise. Is very similar in how they film these shots and how the behavior is, and You see how William's like, you disobeyed my orders, put your peers in danger. Such a Harry Potter conundrum here. But Wednesday doing the right thing and like, hey, you got to protect your image here in your school. Let me help you kind of thing going on here. And shows her the picture. And that I'm the one to protect the school at the end of the day from Crackstone. But where the episode really shines is the last scene, where Enid is upset with Wednesday. They have a little breakup moment here as roommates, as best friends, and calls out Wednesday. He's like, you want to be alone, Wednesday? Be alone. I love how hard this hits here, and they let the camera sit on Wednesday in that aloneness in her room. And I love she sits right in the middle of the window. Her former self would always just stand where the black in the window is, black and white, but then she's slowly letting that color into her character, and that's happening through Enid a lot, and that's why she put that balloon on the cake. And she has this great line, Goody warned me that I was destined to be alone, inevitable. For first time in my life, though, it doesn't feel good. This is a change happening in Wednesday. But you get this reveal now. She took the ballerina figure from Laurel Gates, aka Thornhill, and drops out as these pictures of someone spying on her. And there's a great narration here by Wednesday where she's like, everything's connected like a spider web. Her, the monster, Crackstone. And she says, whoever's watching me, know this, I will find you when the lightning strikes. Amazing ending. That was awesome visually, and the narration and the writing, great. And of course, amazing performance by Jenna Ortega, but that's expected. So I'm giving this one an 8.9, one of my favorite episodes of the season. Just a lot, too, out of pure entertainment value. Again, walking through the mansion was really fun, but also the character writing, the character growth of Wednesday here, adding to the mystery. Just very impressed with this episode. And it gives just that momentum you need in a show like this. We're going into the final act here, the whole season, so it's kind of revving up the engine a bit. So that's always good to see, and it's not getting stuck in the mud. Excited to see what happens here. Let me know your theories down below without spoiling. Again, if you've seen the episodes already, do not spoil, please. This is a companion piece for episode by episode. I'll be doing it for every episode this season, so give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe and follow me at Steve Varley Show on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for more of me, and I'll see you next time.